everyone, happy Monday. Hope you all are doing good and having a good start of the week. Welcome back to Clues by Sam. Today, since it is Monday, we have an easy one. So if you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily logic puzzle game that starts at easy at the start of the week and increases in difficulty along the week. So today is a great day to start, and if you want the link, it is in the description. We do double Mondays here on the channel, so we are also playing the bonus hardest puzzle that we get on our newsletter. So if you want to know how to subscribe to the newsletter, it is right here below the puzzle. You scroll down a little bit and you see the subscribe option here. You just type in your email address and subscribe, and you're gonna get the newsletter from Sam. On today's one, Sam talked about the archive, which you can pay to access all of the previous puzzles since March, I think. And if you want to, without paying, you can go through each video of mine until March. And in the description, there is a link to the respective puzzle on that video, but you will not have access to your stats if you don't pay for the archive. So if you want to do that, you're welcome to do so. Now, let's start the puzzle. Will is saying that both criminals below Bob are connected. So Bob is a bunny and he has 3 people below him who could be criminals. Since we know that both means 2 of them are, then Linda has to be one of those because she's the only one who is connected to any of the other people who could be criminals. So Linda is a criminal. And that makes Gabe and Sophia opposites because only one of them is a criminal. That means the other one is an innocent. Linda now says that both innocents in column B are connected. So also again with the both, that means that there's only 2 innocents in column B total, and those 2 are below Bob. So that makes Bob not an innocent. I was thinking about criminals because we were talking about criminals. So both innocents means that there's 2 innocents. That makes Bob a criminal, which makes Sophia an innocent because she has to be connected to the other innocent in column B, and that's Will. So we know that Sophia is an innocent now and Gabe is a criminal. So that was a lot of solving for just 2 clues. Gabe says that only one of the 5 criminals neighboring Linda is to the right of Rose. So Linda has 8 neighbors total around her. 5 of them are criminals, so we know that 3 of them are innocents, and one of those innocents is Sophia, but one of the criminal ones is Rose. To the right of Rose, so I read that wrong. Okay, jumped the gun a little bit there. It's always the easy ones. Okay, so we know that Tyler is a criminal. We don't know about Rose yet. Tyler says that Kita is one of 3 innocents below Deborah. So, Kita is an innocent, and there's 2 more below Deborah. There's 3 more people. So, 1 criminal below Deborah. Kita now says that Petra and Tyler have 2 innocent neighbors in common. So, Petra and Tyler have 4 neighbors in total in common, and 2 of them are already innocents. That's Kita and Sophia. So that makes the last neighbor that we don't know about a criminal. Now, we know that there's only 1 criminal below Deborah, so that makes John and Zach innocents. I lost a little bit of confidence there on my error, but that's okay, that's okay. John now says there's only 1 criminal in column D, and that's Uma, so that makes Deborah an innocent. Now Deborah says there are exactly 2 innocents to right of Eric. So one of them is John. There's only 1 more person to right of Eric who could be the 2nd innocent, so that has to be the 2nd innocent. And remember that Linda has 3 innocents only neighboring her, so Hilda is the 2nd one. There's only 1 more. Hilda says that an odd number of innocents in column A neighbor Linda. So we're talking about column A, and we know that even though there's 3 people neighboring Linda in column A, and if all of those were to be innocents, that would be an odd number. We know that Linda only has 1 more innocent neighboring her. So we know that the last innocent is in column A, which makes Petra that neighbors Linda and is in column C, not an innocent. Now Petra says there's only 1 innocent to right of Alex, and that person is Deborah, who is an innocent, and to the right of Alex, so that makes Carol a criminal. Now Carol says there's an odd number of criminals above Vince. So we have 2 criminals above Vince, the neighbor Linda, right? That's not an odd number. We need a third one. That has to be Alex. Alex now says there's an equal number of criminals in columns A and B. So, what did the clue about the criminals in column A say? It was talking about Vince, people above Vince. So we don't know the total in column A. But we know the total in column B, and that's 3. So that makes, along with the 2 criminals and neighbor Linda and Alex, that makes 3. So we know that our 3 criminals are here, so that makes Vince an innocent. Hope that made sense. The way I explained it was terrible. And Vince now says that each row has at least 1 criminal. So what row doesn't have a criminal? Row 5, Vince's row. That makes Xavi a criminal. And we don't need Vince's clue anymore because every other row already has a criminal. Xavi says that only 1 person in a corner has no instant neighbors. Well, Deborah is in a corner, but she already has instant neighbors. Zach is in a corner and he doesn't have any instant neighbors. So that makes him the only person in a corner who has no instant neighbors. So that makes Alex, who is also in a corner and so far doesn't have any instant neighbors, need an instant neighbor, and he only has 1 more neighbor. So that neighbor has to be innocent. And that makes the 2 other people, the neighbor Linda here, criminals because we knew there was only 1 more instant neighboring her. Okay, so we are done with this. Don't like the the yellow there, but that makes sense because I did jump the gun on the clue. I didn't finish reading it before acting on it. Sorry about that. Let's jump into the hard one from this week's newsletter. So like I said, today, May 11th, we have 4 bonus puzzles on our newsletter, and this is the hardest one of them all. We're gonna restart the timer just for the sake of it and start with Saleo, saying that exactly 2 of his criminal neighbors also neighbor Logan. So Logan and Saleo share 2 people as neighbors, so both of them have to be criminal. And we know that Saleo has 6 criminal neighbors total among the 8 that he has, so only 2 innocents. Oscar now says that Wanda is one of 3 criminals in column B, so Wanda is a criminal. There's only 1 more criminal in column B because Oscar is also in column B and is a criminal, so that makes the last criminal be either Derek or Isaac, and the other person is gonna be an innocent. Now, Wanda says that Helen has exactly 4 criminal neighbors. Helen has 1 criminal neighbor here who's Oscar. She's gonna have a second one who's either Derek or Isaac, like I said. So that makes her need 2 more criminals neighboring her to total 4. And she only has another 2 neighbors. So those 2 have to be criminals so she can have 4 total. And we don't need Wanda's clue anymore. Now, Logan says that only one of the 2 criminals neighboring Uma is in column C. So Umar has 3 people neighboring him in column C. And only one of those is in column C. So the second criminal neighbor to neighbor him has to be either Kita or Zane, right? The only other neighbors that he has. And Ruby says that only one of the 3 criminals neighboring Kita is Julie's neighbor. But let's take a step back because we know that there's 2 instances here neighboring Umar in column C and 1 criminal, right? According to Logan's clue. So that makes Saleo's 2 instant neighbors that we know that he has only 2 be in column C, which makes Vera a criminal. Nice. Ruby, what did Ruby say? Only one of the 3 criminals neighboring Kita is Julie's neighbor. So Kita has 3 criminals and 2 innocents neighboring her. And one of them is shared with Julie. Julie neighbors Kita herself, so that makes Penny and Kay, who are shared by them both. Opposites, because only one of them is a criminal. And Kita needs another 2 criminals neighboring her. One of them could be Umar. But it could be Tina. Could be both Tina and Umar? It could. So we're gonna leave that there and look at Vera's clue. There's an odd number of instants neighboring Barb. We know that Barb has one instant neighboring her in column B, so that's an odd number. And she only has one more neighbor. So if that neighbor were to be an instant as well, that will make an even number, 2 instants. So that means that that neighbor couldn't be an instant. Helen has to be a criminal then. And we don't need Vera's clue. Now Helen says that Frank is one of Kay's 2 instant neighbors. So where's Kay? Kay has Frank as an instant neighbor. And Kay only has one more instant neighbor, who could be Penny or Kita, so we don't know that yet. What do we know then? What do we know? Kay has 2 instant neighbors. Are we sure that either Penny or Kita are gonna be instants? Because Umar has 3. How many neighbors of each type does Umar have, and where's that clue? Because I apparently 2 criminals neighboring Umar. They could both be Penny and Kita. There's nothing stopping them from that. And there's only one of the 3 criminals neighboring Kita. So Kita needs 2 more criminals neighboring her. And if both of those were Umar and Tina, that will make Julie an innocent. And Julie being an innocent makes Kay's 2 instant neighbors be Frank and Julie. So that would force Penny and Kita to be criminals too. And that doesn't work because we know that Umar only has 1 criminal in column C. So what do we take from that? Can Julie be an instant ever? Because Julie being an instant makes Penny and Kita criminals? And now there's no way for Kita to have 3 criminals neighboring her, which she needs, according to Ruby. Because that's Umar's 2 criminal neighbors here. So that blocks Kita. So we know that Julie is a criminal. I sounded so unsure of that, but I was sure, sorry. Julie says now that only 1 instant in row 3 has a criminal directly to the left of them. So we're talking about rows here. Only 1 instant in row 3 has a criminal to the left of them. So, if, and we're talking about instants, if Kita were a criminal, that will force Penny to be an instant, which is okay. But if Penny is a criminal, that forces... Oh, that couldn't force Kita to be an instant because now there's no... Oh, it works. I'm thinking about criminals with innocents to their left, but it's the opposite. We gotta think about innocents with criminals to their left. So the thing is that now we know that Kita and Penny are opposites, which makes Gabe a criminal because Kay needs 3 criminals neighboring her. Right? So Gabe is a criminal. And Gabe gives us a new clue. There's only 1 instant to right of Wanda. So Xavier and Zane are opposites as well. This is getting complicated. So now we know that Umar has 1 criminal here and 1 criminal here. And Umar has only 2 criminals neighboring him. So Tina is not a criminal, definitely. And Xavier and Penny are opposites. How does that work? Because this is madness here. Kita needs how many? 3 criminals neighbor Kita. So we know about Julie, and we know about Penny or Kay being the second one. So the third one has to be Umar. And Umar gives us a new clue. There are more innocents in row 1 than row 5. And we know that row 5 has 1 innocent here, who's either Xavier or Zane. So that makes row 5 need a second one, who has to be Derek, which makes Isaac a criminal. And we get a new clue from Isaac. There are more criminals in row 2 than row 5. So we know now the opposite, that row 5 has 3 criminals, which makes row 2 need 4. And that makes Kay a criminal, who is in row 2. Kay being a criminal makes Penny an innocent, which makes Kita a criminal. And Penny being an innocent makes Xavier a criminal, which makes Zane an innocent. Okay. Very nice video where I get an all green on a hard one and a yellow on the easy one. So classic me, going back to when I got so many easies out of overconfidence with a mistake on them. But I have fun all the same. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for the feedback on the Discord thing on yesterday's video and comments. I will work on that on this week, and I'll probably have a poll for you. Or not, maybe I'll just decide on a name by myself. Let's keep you guys guessing. I'll see you tomorrow for more Clues by Sam, so bye-bye.